Hey everyone, my name is RJ,
My name is Tensaye.
and we are the
The
Group
Group
Project
Project
Gamers. How have you been, Tensei?
It's been a week, for sure.
Yeah, since our last recording. But yeah, it's been a wild week for us, in all honesty. Halloween just passed a couple of days ago for us as we're recording this.
Mhm.
Um, and I did a little impromptu, what's it called? I did a little impromptu live stream on Twitch just because I wanted to kind of get my feelers out there, you know. I've never really done anything of the sort to like get my voice out there. I mean, I know my voice is trash already, but I kind of wanted to get used to the idea of talking to other people as I play. Um, but I don't think it went all that way necessarily. I mostly just made fun of the game. I was just commenting on little side things here and there, making jokes about the game and shit. But that being said, I'm not saying that the game wasn't good. I actually enjoyed the game. It's just that that's how I deal with horror games. That's how me and you deal with horror games. In all honesty, we use humor.
Yeah, pretty much. Anytime I get really scared in my life, I just kind of try to make it a joke rather than, getting really scared. But in reality, I'm just terrified out of my mind. So,
Yeah, we will get you to play one game at least
yeah,
in the
hopefully
future.
one day where I won't just choke and just sit there for 30 minutes in a locker just waiting for
For
someone
death.
to pass by.
Oh god, but yeah, the game in mention is called Home Sweet Home. Um, I've gotten quite a bit into it. I did end up hitting a spot where it kind of hindered my progress because you know that like when you hit that part in the game when the pacing just kind of dies a little.
Mhm.
Like the game is paced really well. It moves you along, so on and so forth. It pretty much kind of tells you, okay, from here you go here, and then you do this, and like it still presents a challenge, but the pacing is still there.
Right.
But then something comes along and it just derails the whole thing, and it just doesn't make it fun. And that happened for me in that game. Not saying that I wouldn't play it again. I'm just saying that once I get back into it, I know I'm gonna be like, oh crap, I'm right back here and now I have to deal with this shit again. I think I called the giant ass monster. Sorry for my language. I know I called the giant monster like Charles or Charlie or some shit like that. But you know, I like giving names to characters. Um, but yeah, like I had fun up until that moment. Then I just got frustrated and I was like, hey, I might stream a different game. And then I ended up going back to Outlast because I mean that's just a classic at
Mhm.
this point.
Oh yeah, especially for us.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what brought us, the group project gamers, pretty much really close together. Outside of just being friends from middle school.
Honestly. But I think you're mistaken there. I think when it comes down to the game that like sums up our friendship, that like goes back to the origin point of when the whole group really started hanging out together, I'd say it had to be Slender the Eight Pages.
Yeah, I agree with that actually.
Because
From just sitting in the basement of the university library and just playing that game together definitely was one of the games that brought us together and definitely like made us realize that yeah, we're gonna be pretty great friends for a long time.
exactly, especially getting all those dirty looks from everybody who's actually trying to study, make the most out of the college education.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like I think back to those games fondly because I don't know when we were going through college or the college experience, a lot of us were like super dedicated to it, and a lot of us had the support system there. We all had each other,
Hmm.
but we all at the same time were like the typical college student. We're just crap. Finals week is next week, and we're all stressed. So we came up with a bright idea. I was like, hey, why not do a game night? A day where we could just unwind, buy some food, and just go out there and play video games and just forget the stresses of the whole semester. Which in turn helped us find that kind of like little group of us that all thought the same, all wanted the same things out of life, and we've been friends since. Like, is the coolest thing. Like me and you, Tensei, we go back all the way
Way
to middle
back.
school.
Yeah.
I
But
know.
even then, we were like, it was all about the childish games. Like, back in math, when we were playing with those little blocks that you do for math,
Oh
you had
yeah.
like the one, the tens, the hundreds, and we just wanted toys.
Yep. Honestly, we,
That
we
was
just
it.
made games out of everything, man. That's
Yeah.
that's the basis of our friendship.
Mhm.
And honestly, like, I appreciate everybody in the group. I love
Mhm.
everybody. Um, we all have, like I said, that support system from each other,
Yeah.
and it just knowing that we have those kinds of friendships is an amazing thing. Um, so my question for you this week would be, you know, where are you at in your tournament series and all that stuff?
So as of right now, we have just recently played in the tournament. We didn't place very well. We didn't really advance to where we wanted to be, but we definitely learned a lot from it. So there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done in the near future for next season. So basically, there is a tournament every month for this series,
Hmm.
and everyone receives a certain amount of points depending on how you place within these monthly tournaments. And if you earn enough points, then you earn a very specified spot where you don't have to really fight for it, but you'll be like top 64 in the rival series for
Okay.
Rocket League. So the rival series for the Rocket League is basically the intro series for any team to join, so that if you place number one in this series, you have a shot at Rocket League Championship Series, which is the series that all professional players play at. So my goal for next season is to try and make a really good placing in the rival series, and we plan on playing in these monthly tournaments, hopefully every month, depending on how everything goes. But right now, we're kind of in like the quote unquote off season, so we'll be making some changes, making some different moves, and then hopefully um, placing in the next tournament for sure. So, we're gonna keep grinding, we're gonna keep working, and hopefully one day we'll claim our spot in the top of the series.
Yeah. Yeah, like what I've said, I watched some of your videos on YouTube that you've posted. You guys are pretty good, and it seems like you guys have a handle on the game. Obviously, like with anything, it's always about practice, practice, practice. I know
Hmm.
you guys will make it. I have faith.
Oh yeah.
Um, that being said, what about esports in general? Like, how do you how do you feel about how mainstream is starting to get? Like, the ball is starting to roll slowly but surely. It's gonna get there. I know from my standpoint, like, I'm not much of a competitive gamer, but just the idea of like some of the games that I'm actually good at, that I'm actually okay at, I'm gonna say, because, oh, sorry about that, everybody. um, some of the games that I'm actually decent at are starting to get a lot of attention, and there's all these tournaments for these games, and just thinking about that, I was like, hey, maybe I could go pro in some games. Why not? Like, just for fun. I know I'm probably not placed in the top 10 in the world or anything, but I know that it'd be fun to play competitive, just because I have that competitive nature being an athlete, outside of esports. Um, I I kind of crave that competition again. It's been a while since I've played on a field, anything really, because of my injuries, unfortunately. But um, the possibility of that for me is kind of cool. Like, hey, maybe I can compete somewhere else, you know. But seeing as you're already starting to get into this scene, how do you feel? What games are you really wanting to, besides Rocket League? What games would you want to expand upon?
For me, in the world of esports, it's been around me for so long, ever since I was a little kid. It's been my dream. Like, I was like, oh man, it'd be so cool to just play video games for a living, and for it to be an actual reality now. I've never had such a drive for anything like this before. So I mean, and esports has been a thing for me for many, many years. I can say probably about 8 years. Me and my cousin have been trying to grind for any game that we could get into. It didn't really matter. And back when esports was just a small $100 pool prize, and people were just renting out like rooms for it, not really like convention centers or stadiums at this point. Me and my cousins still wanted to be a part of it. So we were grinding and grinding and grinding. And, we played multiple different games from the original one being Call of Duty 4,
Yep.
and then moving our way through the Call of Duty series, trying to get competitive in that sense. But eventually we started reaching different games like League of Legends, where we did that for quite some time. Didn't really progress in it, so we kind of said, okay, maybe this just isn't for us. So then we started expanding to other games, and Rocket League happened to be a game that we were playing on the side, and me and my cousin just started getting really good at it, and we didn't really want to get competitive in Rocket League. We just kind of played it on the side as like a kind of relaxing game.
Mm.
And when we started getting really good at it and started getting more consistent at it, just by playing it for fun, we kind of came to the realization that we might be able to take it somewhere. So that's why we started deciding like maybe Rocket League will be the game that we could actually get an esports contract with. So that's why that game is kind of like the nonstop grind right now. But for me, games outside of that, if I could, probably Rainbow Six Siege would be another game that is really fun for me, and has just so many different aspects to it that I don't think a lot of people realize for a shooter game, a first-person shooter game to have. It's basically like a MOBA in first person. You have different characters, different styles, and you can build team compositions to work for you to play against another team. And it always depends on how well your team executes versus how another team executes. Another game that I kind of would like to get into or back into that I was pretty decent at was Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I did end up hitting Global Elite during one of the I guess you could call it seasons. There's not really seasons in Counter-Strike besides the competitive scene, but I did hit Global Elite at one point, and I was just like playing against these pros, and it was pretty interesting. Definitely something that like I would be interested in if I didn't want to go into Rocket League, but I think for me, Rocket League is probably my main grind. It is a game that I've played thousands of hours in, and is still having fun to this day. So I don't know. Rocket League has definitely been the grind, and I think for me, I don't know. I just want to keep pushing, and hopefully one day I can have a jersey with my gamer tag on it that people will support. So that's the goal, that's the dream, and yeah. Um, but what are your thoughts on esports at this moment? How big it's come, how far it's come. Um, I don't know if you've seen how much has happened, but I can tell you this: one of the biggest tournaments, League of Legends World Series,
Hmm.
was played at the Beijing Bird's Nest. So I don't know if you know about that, but that was one of the biggest tournaments of all time. And for me, for them to rent out such a big venue for such
Hmm.
a tournament, for me that meant a lot, because I was just like, man, esports has come such a long way. But for you, knowing that now, what are your thoughts on esports as well as a whole?
I'm honestly excited. Like I said, I'm a competitive person. I always took competition seriously, no matter what level I was at. When I was playing in high school, when I was playing, you know, outside on club teams, tournaments that I went to, things like that. I love competition. I'm not so much competitive when it comes to video games, because like video games for me at least was kind of an escape from the competition side of everything. Like when I'd be injured and I couldn't compete, I'd sit down and enjoy a new game, mostly like the Uncharted series or Crash Bandicoot, or revisiting some other games and stuff. Um, Mostly just playing FIFA because I mean that's my sport right there.
Right.
Uh, but when it comes to competitive gaming, I'm really excited because now, not being able to compete in my sport, I still crave that competition. Like I said earlier, I am a competitive person by nature, um, but I don't have an outlet for it
Hmm.
right now as it is. So the prospect of there having been like there being a whole competition dedicated to something I really like doing that I might be okay at, that would be pretty cool to have that as an outlet. Even if I'm not like 100% in it to be the best, just having that little bit of competition for me at least, just to satisfy my needs, I guess, is awesome. That being said, I do want to see esports get the recognition that they deserve because just like with anything, it takes hours and hours upon hours of dedication and commitment, like there's obviously different levels of um I guess physical stuff, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of discipline, dedication to learn the craft of doing these things. And I don't know, whenever people say is like, oh, it's just video games. There's nothing hard about it. It's like, no. If you've ever tried to play competitively against people who are 100,000 times better than you, like I have, you just get left in the dust, and you're like, you don't even enjoy it because you think, oh, I'm horrible at this. They must be cheating. And it's like, no, they put the work and dedication necessary to get that good. And I feel like that's just one of those things where people need to people need to respect it. And the way it's going, it looks like it's gonna get there pretty soon, hopefully soon. Because like I said, I do love competition. I love seeing these kind of things grow, and just the fact that I can watch maybe some people compete in games that I like. I'm kind of excited to watch those tournaments, in all honesty.
Yeah, I mean, going off of that, there are a lot of people who don't really understand the time and dedication it takes to play at a top level. A lot of people look at video games and just kind of see it as like a pastime sort of thing.
Hmm.
But for a lot of us competitive gamers, we spend a lot of time, dedicated hours. We just like athletes. We look for scrimmages. We look for um, time that everyone can perform and play, and then performing at a top level consistently is definitely a difficult task. But I think as of recent, esports is kind of starting to get a little bit of recognition because of the money that's starting to get involved in esports. We're talking multi-million pool prizes here. I think recently Fortnite had a tournament for $2 million, and I think one of the biggest names in Fortnite, Tifu and Cloaksy, they just won $500,000 of that pool prize. So for these kids to be earning $500,000 for a tournament, it's starting to get some recognition. Oh, excuse me,
No worries.
and some it's starting to get the ball rolling on esports as a whole. I think esports can definitely get a lot bigger for sure. I mean, right now we're renting out big stadiums. Next week I'm gonna be leaving, so I don't know how we're gonna set up the podcast for next week, but next week I'm gonna be leaving for the RLCS championship finals. And they're renting out big stadiums in Vegas, so that's pretty big for esports just in general. Rocket League especially isn't one of the biggest esports tournaments. It's definitely one of the smaller ones, but to be still renting out big stadiums like that, and be selling out, is kind of it's wild. So, I mean, hopefully, the ball just keeps going and keeps moving, and esports does get the recognition that they deserve for sure. I mean, I think they also even talked about it for the Olympics. They said that esports might potentially be a sport that they want to start debuting at the Olympics, and if that goes through, you know, even with the big controversy that they're having, I think would bring a lot of respect and a lot of light to esports in general, especially for the general public, where people aren't realizing that this is happening, this is a thing, and people are, you know, chasing a dream that as a kid never thought would be reality.
Exactly.
So, um, yeah.
All right. I know, what was it, last week? According to when we record this, by the way, you guys. Last week, as of today, what was it? Red Dead Redemption came out,
Hmm.
and it was insane. I mean, like, I
The game has
guess
so many features to it that's crazy.
not only that, but just the numbers that sold. Like, I'm trying to pull up some information right now that I had saved for just this moment. Uh, uh, According to IGN.com, Red Dead Redemption 2 sold $725 million dollars in copies over 3 days. That's the largest opening weekend of any entertainment product in history. Literally, that's cold hard facts right there. Red Dead Redemption. I remember playing Red Dead Redemption, the first one. Um, I loved it just because it kind of like gave a little callback to the West, out where we live, you know,
Hmm.
and the whole culture behind all the I don't know, the Wild West and the beauty of the nature of the states.
Right.
Um, I remember playing it and I was like, wow, this is one of my favorite games ever. And then this game came along and I'm like, holy heck. Like, I need to buy this game. I need to play it. I haven't played it for myself, unfortunately, but I have been watching Markiplier play it. I like watching his gameplays because he's like me. He's a jokester. He likes taking things not as seriously. So I feel like I would get the same out of it if I were to play it as if just watching him. So for right now, this broke guy doesn't have to go out and, you know, choose to play a game instead of eat for the next week. But yeah, I love everything about the game, the mechanics and everything.
For me, I also haven't gotten my hands on a copy of Red Dead Redemption 2, but I've seen a lot of gameplay on it, and to be perfectly honest, it looks like an amazing game. Like, I can't wait to get my copy. Can't wait to put some hours into that game and just have like fun with my friends, and and just see where we go, what kind of adventures we get in our hands into,
Oh yeah.
trying to be like that. For me, I would like to be like the outlaw kind of walk into the bar and just cause some trouble kind of
Saloon.
guy. Just the saloons, right? And just cause some trouble and just I don't know. That's just me. I just want to. I did the same thing in GTA. Just cause trouble.
Just remember, you have to get a PlayStation 4 for that.
Right. So it'll be some time before I get my hands on it, or I'll wait for the PC version to drop, which I think is like another year or two, because they always they always release it for PC like a year later, and I think it's just because they need to refine everything, or they try to up the graphic quality, because we know as of the recent releasing of the 2080 RTX, we all see the capabilities of where gaming can go from there, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
Which, if I need an RTX to play Red Dead Redemption 2, I'd probably just buy a PS4. So uh, I don't know if I would be able to afford an RTX right now.
And don't say never, you know.
Yeah, it's expensive for sure, but that's part of the grind. So
Who knows? Maybe these neck gen,
oh,
neck gens.
give me your neck, boy.
Whoa. Okay. No, these next gen consoles that are in the works, you know, the PlayStation 5 or whatever it's going to be called, because, well, I mean, with PlayStation, it's always been simple. It's the
In
PlayStation
order,
2,
right?
3, 4. You know, I'm gonna be disappointed if they do the Xbox route where they like
The Xbox
it was the
homie.
PlayStation Prime or some shit
the
like.
the Xbox homie.
Yeah. But you know, it's it's kind of like a bittersweet moment because I just have gotten like my hands on a PlayStation Pro, so I
Right.
could do the 4K upscaling on games. And then now I'm hearing works is like, oh yeah, the PlayStation 5 might be announced this year. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I just got this.
Right.
Let me have it for a little bit.
That's crazy how like the equipment for gaming has just gotten advanced, and it's like a matter of months. I
Exactly.
remember when the 1080 and the Titan were just being released, and they were saying we wouldn't need graphics cards for a while, and here comes the 2080 RTX,
Yeah.
just truly just destroying the competition. And then it's just like what's in store for the future from here, because they said that we wouldn't need a graphics card for a while, and then to hear that the 2080 RTX is just mind blowing everyone and blowing every single graphics card out of the water, is kind of like, where do we stand in the next 5 years in terms of
Exactly.
gaming? So I mean, gaming's just it's just forever expanding, and I don't think a lot of people realize. I mean, like, there are a lot of people that will just take it as a casual pastime, right? Like, it's just like cooking, or it's just like knitting, stuff like that. You're right. It's just like something that you do on the side to pass some time. Then there's other aspects of it where it is competitive. It does have different sides to it. It does have like a revenue side to it, where you can make a living doing it, if you just push yourself, you grind yourself to do it, and I mean, to that, you know, it's crazy where gaming has come to where it was before,
Oh yeah.
where PlayStation and Xbox wanted to create this entertainment system that was just for the family, and then for people to take that family entertainment and make careers out of it is kind of, I think, crazy, but
I mean, if you think about it, like sports are family in a, like um
the old school way, I guess you could say.
yeah, it's still a family entertainment. Like when
Right.
you go watch a football game or a baseball game or a football game,
Right.
none of that soccer shit with me. No, but when you guys go out to do that, that's a family entertainment thing, and it's like from my point of view, it's been a long time coming for this.
Hmm.
It it, it should have been a while back, in all
Right.
honesty, because we all know those arcade tournaments back in the day that our elders tell us about. It's like, oh yeah, we played in the arcade and
Like
there was a little
Pac-Man
tournament.
tournaments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like that, just knowing that people were into it that many years ago, why didn't it become that kind of a big thing back then? Is my thing. Like, it would have been cool to grow up thinking like what these kids nowadays are growing up into is like, wow, I have something that I can look forward to in case I'm not physically capable of doing these
Right.
things. Like kids with disabilities that prevent them from competing physical games.
Right.
They can at least do other things, and that just opens up a whole new world of possibilities for a lot of people who didn't have that.
Just like that one streamer, with, how he has like no hands or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a crazy gamer, like he's so good at shooter games, and you wouldn't think that, but it gives opportunity and an outlet for even people with those kind of disadvantages to still play at a top level, to still play video games and enjoy what they do. So I mean, hats off to everyone that still do enjoy what they love doing, and
Yeah,
not letting anything kind of hold them back from what they want to do.
exactly. And I just want to add as a side note, these guys don't sponsor us at all or anything. I just want to shout out a really good cause for anybody and everybody that hears this. Go donate to Able Gamers. They're a really good foundation. They help out a lot of kids with disabilities be able to enjoy even the littlest things in life, like being able to play video games. And shout out to them. They're an amazing corporation. They're not corporation. I don't want to say corporation. They're an amazing group. They're an amazing collective with hearts of gold. And thank you for everything that you guys do to the community, for the community. Um, I mean, there's nothing else that I can say really.
Honestly. So, I mean, to be honest, like, that is a great cause, and there's a lot of different, times of the year where people will stream and, stream for a cause. Every donation, every subscription that they receive that day goes straight to an organization. I think Ninja did one where he raised over $1 million for a charity,
Hmm.
which is crazy to think that that would happen. And for us, that's one of our goals, is to be able to release a podcast, or to stream one day and earn money for charities. Because I mean, for us, that's been our whole personality, is just to give back to a community that gave to us, and gaming is kind of our outlet for that. Whether it be competitive, whether it be casual, we've always found those people that have given us kind of an outlet that we watch them on a daily basis, and and they do those kind of things where they stream, or they have an event where they kind of save money and or earn money to a charity. And so for us to be able to do that one day would definitely be like a we made it kind of moment, where people are coming in and just helping us out and helping us kind of achieve a dream that we've been wanting for many years. So um yeah, that would be definitely like a goal for us,
Oh
is
yeah.
to get there one day.
Could you imagine just doing a 24-hour live stream that anybody that wants to donate, even whether it's like pennies and nickels that they can, or the big spenders that donate 50, 100, 200, $500, $1,000.
Right.
That's always been a thing of mine that I've always wanted to do ever since I started watching YouTubers do that,
Mhm.
like Markiplier, like PewDiePie, like Jacksepticeye, like I know Lord Minion 77, Wade, or
Right.
Bob, and all them. I forget his channel name, and I'm so sorry. Like, you guys, I love you guys. I love all you guys. Um, Ethan, everybody that I watch. They've always had something along the lines of, "Hey, we're gonna do a charity live stream," and I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever, because here I get to watch my favorite people play games, and I also get the opportunity to donate to some causes that maybe I didn't even know of. Like, I didn't know of Able Gamers until I watched Markiplier's live stream charity event for them, which, like, after finding out about them, like, I have a couple of cousins with those disabilities, like, and to be able to donate to to a group that helps people like that is just awesome, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So one day, Tensei and I hope to be able to gain enough notoriety so that we can bring light to some of these charities, whether they be local, whether they be international. Um, we just want to be able to help.
Mhm.
Like, it's such a cool thing to see that out of this community, so much good can happen.
Right. Yeah, especially with the light that was shed earlier, before esports, before that kind of stuff started growing. A lot of people thought gaming created violence. And, that's kind of like the darker side of things. And I don't necessarily think gaming was the root cause of all of them. Maybe some of them, but not all of them. I don't think gaming can ever really create an environment where it is. I mean, we've seen where gaming has gone, and it has definitely crossed some lines where it is definitely questionable, where these games are kind of very, in the extremes. But I think still a lot of people just see them as entertainment, right? Like, I don't think people go into Resident Evil 7 and think like, oh well, I'm gonna go and haunt people for my life. And so, like, there's definitely different sides to it, but for sure, like, I don't know, that was kind of a tangent that I just
Yeah.
went on, just
No, I
super
feel it.
random. But yeah, like, I don't know, I think there's just things to gaming that is also like very good, and I think that will always trump the very bad things for sure. And I think as of recent, that is starting to show for sure. Like, I think a lot of people have seen Ninja on these big shows like Ellen DeGeneres. Um, I think that he was on the ABC News as well, and they were just kind of talking to him like, how do you do it? How do you make so much? How do you make such a living? Doing this, and you know, in reality, it's all up to it's everything comes down to like the community, that you build, and not everyone has what Ninja has, but everyone's trying to build up to what Ninja has, and that's just the community that we're building into, and that's the community that everyone is into pretty much. I'm pretty sure everyone can say that they've watched Ninja, or they've watched Shroud, or they've watched Markiplier or PewDiePie at some point, and through that, everyone has like some sort of common ground, especially in the gaming community. So I mean, like, that's kind of cool, like the whole aspect of just bringing people together. And what's crazier to me is bringing people together from different countries. I have friends from Europe, I have friends from Africa, I have friends from Australia, and I think that is like the coolest thing, is just to sit down, play a video game, and just play with people like around the world, as if they were just sitting there in your living room with you.
Exactly. That was Honestly, probably the biggest thing when it came to online gaming is the idea of like, wow, I could be playing with anybody who's anywhere in the world right now. And then and then you get into practice and then you see like there's people lagging and you're like, oh yeah, that person's definitely like far away.
Yep. They're
Or
they're
maybe I'm far away
You're
and
a
they're
long
seeing
way
me.
from home, buddy.
Yeah. This ain't Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
No, but like it's a cool thing to think about. Like, wow, I've played with people from all over the world. I don't have that competitive gaming side of me, so I don't necessarily have that opportunity all that much. But I remember playing like Call of Duty on some other servers from time to time, and like I'd get my ass handed to me like real easily,
Hmm.
pretty much right out the bat. But I did get the chance to like meet some new people. I remember back when Black Ops 2 was a thing and online gameplay was still free on the PlayStation. Yeah, I'm calling you out, PlayStation.
Bring
I'm
it
calling
back.
you out. Bring it
Bring
back.
it back.
Come on, help a broke brother out, you know. But like, in all honesty, it was a cool thing. I got to meet some cool people. I made some friends on my PlayStation Network, and we would game every now and then because their times would kind of coincide. Sometimes they'd be playing late at night, and I'd be playing really early morning or something.
Right.
And it was a cool thing, like just to get to know those people. I got really good. I mean, probably too good for my own good. Like on Black Ops 2, I had no life at that point because I think when Black Ops 2 came out was when the second time that I injured my knee. I want to say, yeah, actually, yeah, I injured my knee for the second time, and I was out for a whole season. And when everybody was at practice and I was at home, like what better way to spend it than playing video games, especially since it was free PlayStation. Oh, but like I played video games and I got really really good at that game. Like people would accuse me of cheating good. Um and I never thought at that moment like esports had been starting up with MLG and all that stuff,
Hmm.
and it just kind of like fizzled out of the like mainstream talk for a while until like I remember when League of Legends and Worlds came out and
Call of
all
Duty
this.
was
Yeah.
another big one
Well,
too.
yeah, Call of Duty has always been kind of the
The
bigger
bigger, yeah, that was
thing of
definitely a
it.
contributor to esports as a whole for sure.
Yeah.
I think we can all remember Optic Gaming,
Oh yeah.
FaZe Clan,
Oh yeah.
the original organizations that really started up esports as a whole. Those guys definitely put in the work, put in the time, and the dedication to bring esports where it is today. Those are definitely like the pioneers of competitive gaming. When FaZe Clan and Optic Nation kind of came together and was like, all right, we're gonna do a clan match versus each other, and this is gonna be for money. I think that's kind of where it all started, in terms of esports. But also there's these small tournaments, these LAN events that people would go to, and there would be small pool prizes that people would just go and play for fun and meet new people. And I think that's probably the coolest side of competitive gaming is, traveling to a location and then playing a
Building a
video game.
community.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I want to be one day is competing for Rocket League. Hopefully for TSM or FaZe Clan. It doesn't really matter what org picks me up. I just want to play professionally and be able to travel, with my closest friends and, say like, hopefully bring RJ along and he can be rooting for me on that main stage while I'm playing there.
Oh.
So I mean that's gonna be a long-term goal for me is just to play. I mean esports definitely is like playing competitively does have its like shortcomings where it is like a short-term kind of like um, career,
Mhm.
but you know to be able to say that I went out, chased my dreams, and actually did it would definitely be something in turn that I don't think would be a disappointment for me at all. That I was able to play on a main stage, that I was able to play at a top level, that playing for these prize monies that not a lot of people can say they do, is kind of a crazy thing for me. And for me, it would mean the world to be able to play at that level. So, the grind's not ever stopping for me. I'm always gonna have a competitive drive no matter what game I'm playing, and so you know, for me, gaming has definitely been a very big part of my life, you know, and I think that speaks for both of us, you know, in terms of gaming. Gaming has definitely been like our outlet, has definitely been something that has just always been there and has always been like a thing that we can just do no matter what we're doing. It could be, you know, just meeting up for game nights and just having those horror game nights, or you know, we could meet up online and just play Fortnite and just chill out, you know, and you know, I think that's like the coolest thing, and hopefully a lot of other games start to become like Fortnite, where they will start cross-platforming and give us that kind of outlet to play video games together, you know, because I think Rocket League next year is going to actually start doing cross-platform between PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, all that. So I think Rocket League will be the next game to bring communities together,
Oh yeah.
which will be definitely cool. I mean, we can play together now, which is cross-platform play, but we can't like play with each other.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't like create a party that has one PC, one PlayStation, one Xbox player. But I believe next year they're going to get it done. That's what they've been talking about lately. So hopefully that does become reality, and I can start playing with some of my Xbox friends and some of my PlayStation friends as well. So that'll be really cool.
Oh yeah. I think for me, the cross-platform thing has just been like, you always have the group, and there's always gonna be the people who's like, no, PlayStation's better, no, Xbox is better.
Oh
But
yeah,
in reality, it's just like, it's all on your own personal preference.
right.
I've played both. I lean more PlayStation because that's what I grew up on. My very first console was a PlayStation, the very first original PlayStation. And I just got so used to those controllers that when I try and play on Xbox, I'm like, what is this? I don't know. What am I doing with my hand, you know? And it's not that different. It's just my personal preference. I like PlayStation. I like the feel of the controller. I like the PlayStation exclusives more than I do the Xbox exclusives, so on and so forth. But like I said, it's all about personal preference, but the idea of having that cross-platform play would be awesome because I do have friends that have the same games that I do on Xbox, but we can never play against each other because it's Xbox and I have
Hmm.
PlayStation. So being able to play with some of my closer friends like that I haven't been able to play with because they have other consoles is a cool thing to me. It just opens up avenues, and in reality, I don't think anybody would lose out on money. Like, Microsoft isn't going to lose money. Sony's not going to lose money. They're still catering to the same people.
Everyone always has their preferences.
Exactly.
I'm a
And
Sony person for sure. That's why PlayStation is always natural for me.
hmm
So that's definitely a big aspect to, you know, why not just bring all the communities together?
as I sip from my PlayStation
PlayStation
cup,
mug.
my mug, it's my mug of gaming. I got this specifically for this podcast because I love drinking tea. Um, Coffee. Coffee, man. It was an addiction in college.
That's my new upcoming addiction right now.
Yeah. Sorry to go off on this weird ass tangent, but like it has to be said.
Yeah.
I was too dependent on coffee, but I started drinking teas more, and right now I'm doing a little detox.
You need to stop drinking those energy drinks.
Oh, I know, man. Like,
I was on energy drinks for a while. You know that when I was working over at BJ's.
hmm
So I mean that was a thing, but
especially
I
with my
moved
like,
off of it.
especially sorry,
No, you're good.
especially with my heart conditions and stuff like that, because like I have what's called like a mitral regurgitation, which means like one of my valves in my heart doesn't close all the way. So sometimes blood rushes back in, and then like just feels like somebody's like slowly stabbing me in the heart. I'm like, ow, you know. And it's gotten better over the years. My doctor, my cardiologist, she recommended when I was like in middle school. Uh, Actually, when I was in sixth grade, going into middle school, and I think it was seventh grade, when she was like, "Oh, you need to do more exercise. You need to get into sports that involve cardio." And I was like, "Great, I can play football. You know, I can play football, true football." No, but I mean, I love American football. Don't get me wrong. I just, football.
It should be called handball.
Or I
Or
mean, like
tackle ball or something other than football.
taco bowl.
taco bowl.
Are you hungry,
Welcome
boy?
to the yeah, I'm pretty hungry actually.
Honestly, man, I am too. I woke up, I had some tea. That's all. That's about it. But that being said, though, like I got into sports that way, and then I started becoming really competitive, and I got pretty good at it. I'm not gonna say I was the best, but I was definitely always first team on any team that I played, and
Even in PE.
yeah.
I was never picked. If it was an esport, it would have been different. Trust me.
Oh God, no, but yeah, like yeah. So I had that, and it really helped my heart health because I mean cardio. That's what you're working on. Working out is your heart, you know.
Mhm.
So I was able to kind of strengthen my heart a little bit through sports. But seeing that and like it kind of instilled that competitive nature in me. So I brought it over to gaming a little bit, maybe sometimes a little too much, but you know, it's still a thing that I carry around is that competitive nature, and I appreciate all my coaches from back in the day. They taught me a lot, and I've not only utilized it in that sport, but I've utilized it in life.
Yeah.
So
Same for me as well. C9 Kawhi Ari, shout out to you for being one of the best League of Legends coaches that we've ever had. I'm sorry we don't game as much as we used to, but I mean, all the lessons that I learned from what he was teaching me when I was trying to shot call for my League of Legends team, I can definitely bring those aspects to life. That's why, naturally I do become like a team leader in a sense where, in any kind of dimension of life, when I was a cook, those skills that I learned from League of Legends really helped me lead a kitchen, So I mean, those were definitely different aspects of life where, you know, yeah, gaming kind of did teach me some life skills, outside of gaming. So I mean, it's pretty cool what different things can bring to the table in terms of what you can do in reality outside of it. So yeah. But shout out to C9 Kawaiari. I appreciate you.
yeah, I mean, I'd shout out my coaches, but it'd just be random names.
Shout them out. Maybe they'll watch this
And
or listen to it. You never know.
okay, shout out to Coach Caesar, back in high school. You're one of the coaches that really took the time to get to know me as a person and like work with me to get better. Shout out to Coach Alfredo and his, I think it was his brother, on the club team that I played outside of school. They what do I want to say? They had a lot of confidence in me, and to play on a team of kids who ended up going on to become pros, like they all play on professional teams. Not one of them didn't. So to play on a team of pros, of future pros, and to say that I fought my way to a starting position and I kept that starting position, and at one point I was a captain, even if it was just for a little bit, like that's cool. Like it taught me a lot of leadership skills. It taught me a lot from moving forward. Shout out to my uncle. May he rest in peace. He was actually my very first coach. He he put the love of the sport in my heart, you know. And wherever you are, uncle, thank you. Um, but yeah, so I had a lot of amazing people help me to become the person that I am today.
Hmm.
I'm getting a little emotional. I'm sorry,
It's
but
alright.
you know, no matter what, like you can always take away different things from any life experience, gaming included,
Hmm.
and you can always apply those things to the outside world. So, to everybody that has ever impacted our lives, no matter how minuscule um, the impact was, or how big it was, or how little our interactions were or are, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for inspiring us to be better every day.
Hmm.
And shout out to our close group of friends, Jess, Ashley, Brandon, Justin, everybody. You guys are loved.
Hmm.
And thank you guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. I appreciate all the support that we've gotten so far, and hopefully to get in the future. Like, I know we're just kind of starting out, but I do feel like we do have something that we probably can take for a long time, and I think I feel like we'll probably end up being happy with.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so I think that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, and supporting us. We will be like starting to get more of a kind of like a regular programming in the coming months.
It's just a matter of figuring out that upload schedule.
Yeah, it's just a matter of figuring out exactly what we want to do, how we want to do it. But I do want to say, like I said, we appreciate you guys, the listeners. If you guys have any and all suggestions, we're welcome and open to them. Just leave them in the comment sections, leave them in the ratings. Give us a rating wherever we're at, whatever you
Just kidding.
whatever you feel is like right. I don't want to say it's like give us a 5-star rating, If we don't earn it, don't give it to us.
Right.
We want to earn that 5-star rating.
Yeah.
So
and then if you guys want to, in the comments, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna upload this to YouTube as well, let us know what we could do better or what you guys do enjoy about it. That way we do know, like, hey, like that's something that we did great and we can keep doing that, or maybe we can work on different aspects of the podcast, and that'll help us further expand ourselves as content creators, for sure. So we do appreciate and want to acknowledge all comments. It doesn't really matter if it's for any minuscule things or if it's for any grander things. Any kind of comment that will help us out and further ourselves in this will definitely help out.
Yeah, and so I think with this podcast, I'm going to be uploading it to my YouTube channel. All right. Well, like we said, thank you guys, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Later.
Bye.